So this is our May 2022 Guild meeting. And the educational topic today is going to be patch pockets, and I'm going to be presenting it. The original presenter is not able to present today. And also, her name is Christina Steed, and she coordinated the fair entries for us last year at the Kern County Fair. And she's had some things happen in her life that are going to prevent her from doing that again this coming year. So as far as I know, there is no fair coordinator for this coming year. So we'll have to keep an eye out for what's happening there. And you know, it's unfortunate for her because it was really cool to have somebody to step up to take that responsibility, which is a huge, huge undertaking. Also, we meet via Zoom on Tuesday and Thursday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. And it's the same Zoom address that we're on right now, and anybody's welcome to join that. It's just a social, you know, talking and knitting with each other for an hour and a half or so. And then this coming next Saturday is our official social Zoom with the Guild. And that is at 9 o'clock. It's just social, all the general Guild members, and same Zoom address as we're using right now. And then, as I mentioned in the newsletter, do you guys open that email that I send you? Good.
Yes.
Everybody that's on here opens it. The other 70 members of the Guild probably don't open it, you know, or they'd be here. Anyway, on Wednesday,
Well, they are kind of light.
On Wednesday evenings is the book club. And that's very, very enjoyable. And if Amanda comes on today, I'll have her talk about the book club. Let me see if Claire is going to be on here today. Claire. So Claire is the librarian. And if she comes on, she'll talk about the library. I think she told me she wasn't going to be able to be on here today.
Hi, sir. How are you today?
How you doing?
What's going on?
Whoops, who's that?
Christina.
Oh, okay. So then we have the Guild Library. And before I move, I am going to go by there and look through the books that I've loaned the library, because if there's any collectible ones that I want to keep, I may remove them from the library. So I'm going to do that. I'm pretty sure I have one for sure that I'm going to take out of it. And if the Guild wants to replace them, they can. I'm going to make Renee the co-host, and she can silence me.
I may just mute everybody, and we'll have to remember to unmute if we speak.
Okay.
Those little tiny sounds just are magnified.
I know. Fix up everything.
Yeah.
Now, next month in June is Worldwide Knit in Public Day. So for our Guild meeting, unless the COVID numbers are sky high, and if they are, you can join at your own risk being in public together. But traditionally, we have met at the fountain at the marketplace. And that is also when we count the votes for our election. We actually do the counting that day and reveal the results. Now, sometime today, Cindy will be sending out the official ballots for the election. And then you can vote for 7 people. And then those results, and please vote, everybody participate. The results will be tallied at the June Guild meeting. Now, if it looks like the COVID numbers are going sky high, then we won't do that in-person meeting at the marketplace, and I'll notify you all, okay? And we'll Zoom again. We have Joan Schrouder set up to teach for our July Guild meeting via Zoom. And we also have access to a real room from the Adventist Health building where we could be a meeting in person depending on the COVID numbers at that time. It's so iffy. We're still in process on working out the details for the retreat. And again, it may be affected by COVID. You know, I keep thinking that every time that it peaks and it comes back down, that maybe that will be the last one. But it looks like we're at the very beginning of another upswing. So let me share that with you so you can see for yourself. Let me find that page. I checked, the Kern County Public Health Department has decided to only post the numbers on Tuesdays and Fridays now. They used to post Monday through Friday. Here is the, I'm going to share the screen. Here's the most recent numbers, and you can see how we were way down low, and here we are at the beginning of a curve again. Let me see if it'll show all cases. Yes, here's the beginning right here. See, they always start with this little upswing and then they go up. Well, we're at the little upswing right now. We don't know what this part's going to look like yet. Okay. So we're just going to have to check it twice a week and see what it looks like and use that information wisely for the protection of our members. But again, as I say, it's personal preference, like the Monday and Friday get together at Panera's. If you want to meet with people in public, that is your personal choice, okay? Anything anybody else wants to talk about or bring up? If you want to participate in the drawing and the attendance drawing today, be sure to put your name over there in the chat.
I had a quick question.
Yes.
I was wondering if our library has a copy of Charles Gandy's Crazy Socks that was done by Regia Schockenmeyer
Uh-huh.
and is out of print. Do you know if we have a copy of that?
I don't. You'd have to check with Claire. I don't think we have that one by Regia. I think we have his other one, you know, the one, the embellished sock.
And I have that one in my own
The
library.
Regia book's a nice little book.
It is a nice little book, and I saw it a bit when he at the retreat. He was one of the teachers.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, okay.
Anything else anybody want to talk about or bring up, or anything that I didn't cover?
Well, Suzanne, I'd like to ask, I had to miss the April meeting, and I think that's when you had somebody on about the embroidering, your knitting.
Oh, that was the February one.
Okay, well, I had to miss that meeting, and you had modeled a sweater for us from one of her patterns that you did. It was a really beautiful cardigan with beautiful embellishment on it. I was wondering if you remembered the name of that pattern.
Into the jungle one. Orange, you're into the jungle.
Maybe.
Was it stranded knitting or what was it? Because I have a lot of sweaters.
It was.
Oh, maybe it's the one that I did the embroidery on. Let me go get that.
Mhm.
While she's
Hello,
gone, can
everyone.
anybody tell me what the name of that designer is?
The one from Scotland,
I think so.
Flora Collingwood Norris.
That's it. Thank you.
I took her class on Wednesday morning. She had an online class, and it's very miserable. It will take lots of practice, but
Mm,
I
Oh,
was,
cute.
doing my best to keep up. But it was a nice class. And she sends you, you have to sign up a little bit ahead, like giving her at least 5 weeks, because she sends you the background material and she sends you a bunch of
Oh,
odds and ends and a needle.
Oh,
So
Yeah, that workshop, you can sign up. She does it over and over. Is this the sweater you're talking about?
Oh, that's so pretty.
yes, I think so.
Okay, this is my own design.
Oh,
It's from the iTag drop shoulder.
okay.
It's a tutorial. You can buy it on Ravelry for $25 and it walks you through all the steps of creating your own sweater.
Okay.
And I include links to all, I have videos on making these embroideries in my YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Oh, Marion has her hand up. Yes, Marion.
I do. Hi. So I'm sorry I'm late. I couldn't get to the computer. My husband locked it when we went on a trip and we hadn't used it. And we got back and I couldn't get to it until now. So I don't know if you talked about what happened with the Veterans Day poppies.
Pam has them.
Okay, so that's been taken care of, and
Thank you very much, Marion.
forward to hearing more about that later.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Anything else? So we could just jump right into the lesson. Would you like to do that? Or do you want to chit chat and share your knitting, or what would you like to do? I'll go with the flow. Raise your hand if you want to go into the lesson. Okay, let's start the lesson, okay? Let me turn my camera on. Now, do any of you belong to the Knitting Guild Association? Do you read Cast On magazine? Okay, Teresa, you have your hand up? Oh, she was just raising.
I was just raising my hand for the
Okay.
lesson.
So you may have noticed in the last 3 issues that I have had an article in Cast On magazine about pockets. And that's going to be a continuing series for probably at least 10 or 12 issues of the magazine. Each time there's going to be another article. And I started with the most simple of pockets, which is what I'm going to cover today in the lesson. And each quarter, when the magazine comes out, I'll do a new pocket. So the first pockets that I started with, I'm going to make me big, were the patch pockets. So this is a patch pocket. And you start with a patch. And you sew it onto the fabric. So you have some fabric. And this fabric, it could be a sweater. It could be the end of a scarf. You know, like if you have a long scarf, you could put a pocket at each end. That's kind of a cool thing to do. It could be a pillow. It could be a little tooth fairy pillow for somebody. You know, wouldn't that be cute? And the patch does not have to be plain. I just used a plain patch for this lesson. You could embellish your patch. You could embroider on it. You could do a little cable on it. You could do intarsia. You could do a Fair Isle patch. You could do whatever you want. Also, the patch could be in the same yarn as your fabric, so that the pocket is not stand out as a second color. It could be the same color as your fabric, so that that would look, it would blend in. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate how to do this one. So this is a patch that you knit first, and then you seam it onto this fabric. The second one that I'm going to show you is knitted on. Looks the same, doesn't it? Looks the same, with some small details that are different. For example, when you sew a patch on, when you sew this patch on, the bind off edge is curled under and the cast on edge is curled under. You don't want to see those on the front, right? So what that does is it creates, there's the bind off and here's the cast on. It creates a ridge here. Can you see that ridge? So it stands up from the fabric a little bit. It doesn't lay flat. So it really looks like it's applied on the top of the fabric when you do it that way. This one, which is virtually the same looking, but you pick up stitches in from the fabric, pick up and you knit this on as you go, and then you Kitchener at the end and see it blends in smoothly. There's no, it's not a three-dimensional look. And if it were in the same yarn as the background, it would just look like it was knitted in as you made the fabric. Okay, so that's the difference, but they're both afterthought pockets. This is called a patch pocket, afterthought. This is called an afterthought knitted on pocket. And you can do them with a horizontal opening or a vertical opening. I'll show one of each when I demonstrate how to do it. So this is the one that's knitted on. You can see how smooth it is here. And this is the one that is seamed on, and you can see that ridge that it creates where the cast on edge has to fold under. So the thing about patch pockets is that you can apply them anywhere. You don't have to plan it in advance. You don't have to think about the pocket as you're knitting the article. In fact, when you're knitting the article, you may not even think about pockets at all. And sometime later on, you might think, oh, I wish I had a pocket on that. And this is how you can put pockets on, okay? Not today, but in those articles, if you haven't read them, I also show some other pockets. The one in the most recent article is also an afterthought pocket that can be applied at a later time, but the pocket is on the inside. It doesn't affect the outside. And the difference between these is that this pocket is good if your base fabric is smooth, okay? If this were smooth, like if this were a cabled cardigan, you wouldn't want to put a pocket over a cable, would you? That wouldn't look very good. But if the fabric is plain, this patch pocket or afterthought pocket is good. But what if you had something like a Fair Isle sweater or cables or some intricate lace design or something, and you don't want to interrupt that, but you do want a pocket? This is also an afterthought pocket, but it is applied to the inside of the fabric, so it doesn't affect the front of the fabric. And if you guys want to learn how to do this at some later date, I can teach this at a future guild meeting, okay? But it is in the current issue. The issue that just came out has that pocket. So let's start with how to determine where to put the pocket and the size. So I figure out when I'll often put the garment on and place my hands where it feels comfortable to have the pockets. And then I put some waste yarn, or if I'm actually, I might use knitting needles or anything just to mark the area around my hand so that I know where I want the pocket to be. And then I can take the garment off and then I outline the area. And in this case, I'm doing a rectangle. It could be a slanted pocket, which I will do in future cast on magazines. There'll be some diagonal pockets also. In this case, we're just doing a rectangle, okay? So you outline the area with some waste yarn where you want to apply the pocket. And if you're doing the patch pocket, then you count how many rows and how many stitches, and you knit your patch to that size. So your patch fits on here. See, it fits perfectly in that space. And then I'm going to use the same color of yarn to seam this on, and we'll start seaming it on. And I start at the bottom. We're going to be using this row that the yarn is marking as the bottom seaming row, and this column to connect the side, and this row for seaming at the top, okay? And of course, you could always make the pocket with opening this way too, but I'm just demonstrating it this way. So you're going to bring your yarn up on the fabric. Let me make this bigger. I'm going to bring it up right here in the middle of this stitch. And I'm going to leave a tail on the back side. Then I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to go under there. This is the selvage stitch here. I'm going to go under both legs of the selvage right above the cast on. So here's the second stitch right here. You can see both legs. I'm going to go under both legs of the selvage stitch. And then I'm going to go down in the same hole where I came up, and I'm going to go over one stitch and come up in the middle of the next stitch. Then I'm going to go under these two legs. And I'm going to go down in this hole and up in the next stitch. Under these two legs. If I go too fast, just holler. And you can see that I'm making stitches there, but they're really big, right? It doesn't matter if they're big, because we're going to tighten them up in a minute. I get a few going. And I always go down in the middle of the stitch, come up in the middle of the next stitch neighboring it, and you go under two legs of the same stitch. Down in the middle, up in the next, under two legs. And about this point, I'm going to hold on to my tail here. This is the tail on the back of the fabric. I'm just grabbing it right here. You can see on the back what it looks like. And I'm just going to pull this tight. So now it disappeared. The seaming thread is completely disappeared, and this fabric is seamed to this fabric. And I'm going to continue. I'm going to go a little faster so we get over here so I can show you how to do the side. In the cast on magazine that's associated with this pocket, I tell you exactly how many stitches to cast on and the rows to knit, so you can make this exact sample. The directions are in there for making this sample if you want to try it yourself. And it's just a swatch, and I love making swatches. That's how I learn things. I make a lot of swatches. When I was packing up all my yarn and my knitting supplies, I have 2 full bins of swatches that I've used for teaching. So I'm just going to work all the way across. This is the next to the last stitch. Here's the selvage stitch over here. So here's the next to the last one. And it works out perfect here. And I'm going to tighten this. So we're just going to hold on to this and pull it tight. And now it's all nice and even across there. And you see, the most important thing that makes it look really cool is that each column of stitches that comes up here goes right into the column on the pocket. So if this were the same color of yarn, it would look like it was just a continuous piece of the fabric. Do you see how these match up perfectly? Now we're going to deal with the side. Now on this particular sample, I made a slip stitch selvage because it looks better. And on the back side of this, what we're going to be using for connecting the side of the pocket to the fabric, we're going to be using each one of these slip stitches has a bar that connects it to the neighbor stitch. So when you do a slip stitch salvage, there's just one stitch for every 2 rows, right? So there's going to be 1 bar for every 2 rows, these bars right here. And that's what I'm going to use to connect this invisibly, are these bars that are every other row. So the first one, this is where I wove my tail in. The first one is going to be under here. It's under my tail weave. So I'm going to come up. I'm also going to be using the centers of this column. We have this last column up here. I'm going to be using the center bar every other row. So I'm going to start, my tail weave covers up the first bar. We're going to go in this bar right here, which is at the bottom. And pull my yarn through.
She's not supposed to start till 10.
Now I'm going to skip this bar. That's the one that I just connected. I'm going to go up to this bar here for skipping a row. And then I'm going to pick up this bar, the next one up. Then I skip a bar, go to the next one. And I'm going to come up to the next bar because there's only 1 bar every other row because it's a slip stitch selvage. So you don't have to worry, it's the only one there. And if we worked it correctly, we'll come out at the top matching up perfectly. Are you leaving?
Yes.
Okay.
See you Wednesday night.
See you Wednesday.
Love you.
Love you too. Stop it.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry. My family's taking off. Okay, he was being obnoxious. Even though he's almost 52 years old, he's still my little son, you know?
I was trying to figure out who to mute here.
I know. Okay,
Everybody's muted except you.
it worked out perfect. Okay, look at that. Now those are loose, so I'm just going to take, again, I'm going to hold it down here with my thumb and finger and just pull those up. And the side is now attached. Isn't that beautiful? So now we're going to work across the top. And it's basically the same that we did here, So what we're going to be doing is on this fabric, because it's the lower fabric. Remember, this was the lower fabric. This was the bottom. This was the top. On the lower fabric, you're going to be going in a stitch, in the middle and come up in the middle of the next stitch. On the top fabric, you're going to be going under 2 legs. So we're going to start that. So we're going to start by, let's go, let's start by going in the center of this stitch. No, we're going to go under 2 legs. So we're going to go under these 2 legs right here. I'm 1 stitch over, hold on. I need to go under these 2 legs right here. And then I'm going to go down in this stitch right here and up in the stitch next to it under the cast on. into the middle of this stitch right here. Then I'm going to go under the next 2 legs on the top. I'm going to go down in the stitch I came up in previously and up in the next stitch. I'm going to go under the next 2 legs. And you can always turn this over and do it this way if you want. You know, if it's easier for you to work from right to left, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go under these 2 legs, down in this stitch, up in this one. And this is being recorded and we will put it up on YouTube just for Guild members when this is over. So if you want to come back and watch this, I also have a video specifically on doing this. So if you want to just watch that video on my YouTube channel, you can. And it's also linked in that article in the Cast On magazine. There's a link to the video. And I'm going to show you something really cool. I'm actually going to stop here because you can see I'm just going to do this all the way across. Okay, but let me show you something really cool. Let's tighten it. I'm putting my thumb and finger here to hold this, and I'm just pulling all that seaming thread. So now we have it seamed. And again, the columns just travel right up. Do you see that? So if it's were the same yarn, everything matches up. Now, let's say you made a mistake and you need to take this out. Guess what you do? It's so easy. You just take the seaming thread and you pull. Okay, so it's not like you have to cut and accidentally cut your working yarn. You can just pull the seaming thread out. Now let's look at the other one. Let's look at the one where we want to knit it on. Okay, same thing. I marked I've used these swatches so many times to teach this. So get these stitches evened up here. So you mark the area again. Now there's a cool little trick here, and I learned this trick from the Wonderful Wallaby book. Do any of you have that book? Do you know what I'm talking about? I know Barbara has it.
I have it too.
She's knit a bun. Let me look real quick, see if I can find my Wonderful Wallaby book. I'm looking, but I don't. It's so little and so skinny, it hides between the other books. I don't see it easily. Okay, but it's called The Wonderful Wallaby, and this is how she starts the pouch, the kangaroo pouch pocket, and it's the coolest trick. So in this case, you want to have your working yarn, and here's my working yarn. Let me find the end of it. And you're going to thread the tail onto a tapestry needle. Now just
Suzanne?
Yes.
I have my book.
Okay, let me, is that Barbara?
Yep.
Okay, let me find you and I'll share your picture. Let me remove there. Gallery view. Barbara. Okay, this is the book. And it is the best book. I highly recommend. It's just a little pamphlet, really. And she teaches you, it's for every size. You can see on the front there. And Barbara has her notes there for all the ones that she's made, the different sizes. And she makes these sweaters in worsted weight yarn, but you can really use any weight yarn. You just, downsize. Like I've made infant size ones and I would show it to you, but I have all my stuff packed, ready to move. So I've used fingering weight yarn. Let me see if I can find I'll make a little segue here. Okay, I'm segueing. Yeah, there's the pocket. Done pocket. Now let's go to the previous page. Diagram, the first diagram. Diagram 1.
That is diagram 1 over here.
Yes, right. Nope, that's diagram 3. You got to move it the other way. Diagram 1, right here. Diagram 1. Do you see how she's taking the yarn down in that hole under the back side and she starts picking up here? This is what I'm going to show you right now. Okay. And I actually do it a little bit differently right here at the point of that needle than she does. So I'm going to show you, and let me show you a little baby wallaby. Hold on. Thank you, Barbara. Let me find, I'm going to show you one I made with fingering yarn. They're so darn cute. I love them. And they're so fun to make. Let me go to my projects on Ravelry and find one. I've made bunches of wallabies. Here's one right here. So this one, whoops.
You've got to take me off, Suzanne.
Okay, I'm going to right now. Thank you. Remove spotlight, speaker, gallery. Where am I? There am I. Spotlight. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you. So this one, do you see that one? That's made with fingering weight yarn. That fits a newborn. Isn't that cute? That was for Scarlett when she was first born. Let me see if I think I've knit more than that. I know I made one for Ireland when she was little. So cute.
Have you ever made an adult one, Suzanne?
Nope, I've just made little ones, but Barbara's made lots of adult ones. So here it is. This is Wallaby. Oh, her second Wallaby. I'll show you her first Wallaby. So there she is. Isn't that cute? And I added cables to it, a cable that went all the way up around. That's her second one. Then here's her first one, and you can see how little it is. This is Ireland's Wallaby when she was brand new baby. So that's hers. That's in a different yarn than what Scarlett's was. Isn't that cute?
Wow.
Adorable. Okay. They're fun to make. They're addicting, actually, because they turn out so good. So what you're going to look for now is we're going to be picking up, let me pull this so it's not, the stitches right along here. So we determine which row we're going to pick up stitches in. We're going to pick up the stitches in this row right here that I have marked with thread. This row right here. So you want to take your needle down in the row above, not in the same row. You take it up in one row above and you pull your working yarn through to the wrong side and you just leave, you take the needle off and you have this tail here, and you can pull through quite a bit if you want. Then you take your knitting needle and we're going to start picking up in this stitch right here. Let me make sure. Yep, that's the right row. So we're going to pick up here. We're going to pick up a piece of the working yarn. And you can use a crochet hook if you want to get started. Sometimes that's easier. I just use my knitting needle. Of course, I fiddle with it quite a bit, but I still just use my knitting needle. Okay, so I have my first stitch picked up. Once you have one picked up, the rest are easy. And I've identified the row I'm going to pick up in. So now I'm just going to go to the very next stitch neighboring to it and pick up my next stitch. And what do you think this is called? Is this called picking up or picking up and knitting? And does anybody know the difference between picking up and knitting?
This is just picking up because you're not actually knitting a stitch.
I am
Right.
making a new stitch.
I think that's picking up and knitting. If you just pick up, you're just going into the.
This is picking up.
Yeah, existing.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's picking
Ah.
up. What I'm doing is I'm creating a new stitch. So it's called picking up and knitting. And people get confused with this, and a lot of people use it interchangeably because they don't really know the difference. So I'm
Oh.
picking up and knitting.
And some designers use it the wrong way.
Yes, they use it the wrong way. And you just got to stay in that same row and pick up all the way across, and you can pull more thread through here as you need it, because what's left over will just pull through to the front. I have to look each time to make sure I'm in the same row. It's easy to jump from one row to the next accidentally.
Suzanne, when I'm knitting my wallabies, I put a lifeline in that row after
That's
I
a
knit
good
that.
idea. That's a good idea.
And it helps me see where the row is to pick up the stitches.
Yep. Good idea. Thank you. Whoops, don't want blue, we want yellow.
Suzanne, I missed the first part of that. Can that wallaby pattern be purchased somewhere?
Yeah, you purchase that little book, Look for Wonderful Wallaby. Now, do you see where I'm making my stitch? I'm going to make one more stitch, and it's going to be in the row below where the yarn's coming out. Do you see that? That's super important, because if your yarn is coming out in the same place where you need to pick up a stitch, you can't pick up a stitch. Or if it's coming up in the neighbor over here, when you go to make the next row, you're going to have a blip of yarn on the front that you don't need. Okay, so we have all our stitches picked up. This is equivalent to a right side row. So the next row is going to be a wrong side row. And I'm making this, this is going to look like this. And I'm making a slipped stitch edge on this because I think that looks nice. So on the wrong side row, I'm going to be slipping the first stitch and the last stitch. And on the right side rows, I'm going to be connecting it to the fabric. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to purl back, but I'm going to slip the first and last stitch of every purl row. We're going to pull all that extra yarn through. On the back, it looks like this. You can see where we picked the stitches up. So now we're just going to slip the first stitch, and you don't have to, it's just my personal preference. You can purl it if you want. But we're going to be, again, connecting the front to the back every other row. Every right side row, we're going to be connecting the pocket to the back fabric. Every right side row, not on the wrong side rows. Wrong side rows, I slip the first and last stitch point to point. Now, how do you know when to slip a stitch point to point or slip it knitwise? What's the rule of thumb?
Can you decrease?
Yes, you only slip knitwise if you're making a decrease. So now we've worked the pickup row and the first wrong side row. Now we're going to do a knit row. Now we picked up in this row right here that we can see, that's the slip stitch, and it was picked up right here. So this row is equivalent to the purl row, the next column up. And this row is equivalent to our next right side row, which we're going to work right now. So we're going to use the right leg of this stitch right here, and we're going to put it on our knitting needle, the right leg. And this is our slipped stitch right here that was from the purl row. We're going to knit those two stitches together as one. And that's what connects the pocket to the background fabric. Then we're going to knit until one stitch remains.
Suzanne,
Uh-huh.
if one we're not going to slip the first and last stitch of every wrong side row, would you still do your attaching every other row, or would you do
Yeah,
it?
because it doesn't, you'd have to try it on a swatch, and this is a good swatch to try it on. Experiment and see what you think. See if you like it. I don't like it, so I don't do that. But I have tried it. So now I'm going to slip that previously slip stitch over to the right needle, but this time I'm going to slip it as if to knit. Because what am I going to do? I'm going to go to this row right here, which is the right equivalent to the right side row, this stitch. I'm going to pick up the left leg of that stitch. I'm going to put the stitch here, and I'm going to work this as an SSK, like a decrease. That's why I slipped it as if to knit. And that connects the left side. Now we're going to turn our work. We're going to slip the first stitch point to point because we're not decreasing. And we're going to purl until one stitch remains. I think that unless you have perfect selvage stitches, that working every row on the selvage doesn't look very tidy. And when you're doing a knitted on pocket, there's no way to hide the selvage stitch. So that's why I use the slip stitch selvage. That's why I use it, but it is personal preference, point to point, because I'm not decreasing. Now I turn my work, and the last stitch that I connected, I can see is right here. I can see that stitch that I pulled up onto my needle. It's connected with this stitch. So I know I'm not going to use that row again, am I? Because it was the knit row, and the row above it here is the purl row that we just purled. So I'm going to go to the next row that would be a right side row. And you could actually mark these if you wanted to in advance. You could mark, you could put a removable stitch marker in every other stitch up this side and the other side so that you already had them marked. So I'm going to pull this up, the right leg, and I'm going to knit these two together. And then I'm going to knit until one stitch remains. So on the edges where you're connecting, what you're doing is you're actually kind of duplicate stitching over that connecting column on each edge of the base fabric. You're making a duplicate stitch by picking up the right leg or the left leg. So I'm going to slip as if to knit because I'm going to use this in an SSK. I'm going to look over here. Here's the previous left leg that I picked up. It's connected right there. You can see it pulled up. So I'm not going to use this left leg because that was associated with the purl row. I'm going to use this left leg. I'm going to put this stitch over here and work it as an SSK. Then I'm going to turn. I'm going to slip the first stitch, point to point, purl to the end till one stitch remains. And slip the last stitch. So let's take a look at this and see how it looks. On the wrong side, we can see where we've picked the stitches up all across there. On the sides, there's no evidence of anything happening. Can you see that? On the front, you have this really smooth transition from the base fabric to the pocket fabric. It is smooth and flat. There's no bump. And here the sides are connected as you go every other row. So let's look at a finished one. This one is finished. And if we look on the back, here's where we picked up the stitches here. There's really nothing visible here. You can see a little dimples where we connected at the side. This is what it looks like. It's very well attached. It doesn't distort the background fabric. And then you can change to ribbing when you get to the top. And when you do a pocket that has a horizontal opening like this and you bind off, you want to bind off tight because you don't want the pocket sagging. And then when you weave in the ends on the back here, I don't remember how I wove them in, but let me show you this one. This other one. This is one. You want to weave them in very securely at the top on the back side. So this is the one that's seamed on that matches this. This one was, the patch was knit individually like this, and it was seamed on. This one was knitted on. So if you really didn't know about this little ridge here, you really can't tell the difference. On the back, you can. On the back, you can see where the seam is here, where we picked up those bars. On this one, you can't tell on the back, but you can see the picked up stitches. Here, you can't see, you can see the seaming. If you look like this, you can see where it's seamed across the bottom there. Any questions? No questions? Okay.
You said something about the Kitchener, but that wasn't on this one.
That was on this one. This one here. Across the top.
Oh, okay.
That was like a Kitchener graft.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
They look really nice, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
I hope you try them. You know, it's really kind of fun to add pockets to things. In future articles, I no longer have Jackie's Aran cardigan here, but Jackie, do you have that? Are you here?
Yes, let me go get it.
Okay. She's gonna get her cardigan, and she decided later on that it would be more comfortable if it had pockets in it. Because when we made the Aran cardigans, we did not put pockets in them. And because it has all those cables, you either have to cut and interrupt a cable and put the pocket on the inside like this pocket, but you would be cutting across a cable here, you know, or go to the side seam because the garment was seamed and put the pocket in from the side. So that's what we decided to do on hers. And she's going to get it and show you. And turned out really, really cool. So now she has pockets in her Aran cardigan. So it's another example of an afterthought pocket. An afterthought means that you don't have to think about where you're placing the pocket when you're knitting the garment, because sometimes you don't know where you want to have the pocket. Oftentimes for me, I like to actually try the garment on first and put my hands where they seem comfortable for pockets. And that's where I like to add my pockets. So when you're planning your project in the beginning, I'm going to make her big. When you're planning the project in the beginning, whoops, I want to take me off of spotlight. Off of spotlight. And there's Jackie. Okay.
Okay, this is very heavy.
Yes. Okay. So there you can see the side seam there.
Right here.
Right here. We just undid the side seam. And then we connected this fabric over here, the back fabric, to the lining, and we knitted a lining. Turn it over. Let's look at the lining. And the lining is just in stockinette, but we matched the stitch and row. We matched the gauge.
Wait, here it is.
There's the lining of the pocket. And she knitted it on. So we picked up the stitches at the bottom there by the ribbing, across there. And every time she came over to where the ring finger is, or ring hand, she picked up a stitch on the edge, just like I showed you, and knitted it with the pocket lining, and then worked back and forth until she got to the top, and then she grafted it on at the top. And so it doesn't affect, so turn it to the right side again. It doesn't affect the front of the fabric. You can't even see, if you didn't see that slit in the edge, you wouldn't even know there was a pocket there. And she's holding her sweater upside down, but that's the easiest way to show it. It's heavy. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of sweater. But that was really cool. And so she did that on both sides. So now she has invisible pockets.
Yeah, you can't.
Totally invisible pockets in her sweater. Isn't that cool? Thank you for sharing.
You are so welcome.
I love you.
I love you too, Suzanne.
Okay, so.
But you're leaving me.
I know.
Oh.
Only physically.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so does anybody else have any comments they want to make about pockets?
I have a question.
Who's speaking?
This is Alice.
Okay, hi Alice. How are you?
I'm doing okay, thanks. I noticed that all the pockets have ribbing at the top. Do you ever do a different stitch pattern at the top?
Absolutely. Let me show you. That's a great question. So you can choose to do whatever you want. Let me go back to my hands. So I chose ribbing here. You could just as well do a little bit of seed stitch. You could do a couple of rows of garter stitch. You could do reverse stockinette and make it roll to the inside, or you could do an I-cord. You could even do, if you were doing this one here, and I have done this before, you could do a cable here, right on the edge, with no stitches on the other side of the cable. And that looks so cool. Let me show you. I don't have, it's packed. I'm sorry, I can't show you, but try it on a swatch. Have these, the last 4 stitches be a 4-stitch cable. And what it looks like is a cabled I-cord. It looks very, very cool. Makes a nice edge. Yeah, so you can experiment, try different things. Awesome. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to unhighlight myself, and we have quite a bit of time left. So would you like to share your knitting? Does anybody have anything they'd like to share that they're working on? I'll just randomly pick you. Jackie, do you have anything you want to share?
This Jackie? Me, Jackie?
Jackie Rickles.
Well, this is the Franco sweater that I started, I think last year. Sorry, Frank. But I got back to it. It's one of his designs. It's actually his tab front that I'm making. You can't really see.
Into a cardigan.
There you go. Very plain. It's for my daughter.
Very pretty.
I'm trying to get some UFOs done.
Yes,
So that's it.
beautiful. I love that yarn.
I do too. This is Vulmies and it's called denim. So it's,
Very nice.
thank you.
Welcome. Barbara, would you like to share?
Yeah, my great grandson wanted a scarf,
Yay.
blue with diamonds, green diamonds on it, and it's double knitting. And
Yay.
I have to thank Suzanne for all the videos I watched of hers. And then Jackie Rickles and Judy has helped me at Panera. And it's actually started. And yeah, there's a couple of little, but he'll never know and I'll
Oh.
never tell. And I'm really enjoying it.
Isn't that the coolest thing?
It is.
Yeah, it's miraculous.
It is. It really is. Very cool. Okay, Marion, would you like to share anything? Unmute yourself.
There you-
Okay. Okay, so this here, I'm using up leftover yarn to make a very simple, easy to knit when you're talking to people. I don't know if you could see the color.
Oh, that's nice.
And so it's got this kind of zigzag pattern you can kind of barely see, but I'm gonna put a fringe on it, which I think will be nice. And then I will have used up my leftover sweater yarn and not had something where I made a lot of mistakes and then at the end of the session, I'd have to take it all out. So anyway, that's
Very nice. It looks like
Thank
a kind of a camouflage yarn. Is it a camo yarn?
no, it is, what is this, silk and linen? I made a sweater out of it, out of the Ann Budd book. But it's linen and silk. That's it, 52% linen. So it's and no, 48% linen, 52% silk. What I found with the sweater is it's kind of stretchier than I thought it would be. Which is interesting, but I think it'll make a nice scarf. And even though it's a variegated yarn, I think it'll act sort of as a solid, because I tend to, you know, have a plaid shirt on. So I think I can wear it with more things than some of my
Well,
scarves.
let's use this as an educational moment. Let's talk about linen and silk, okay?
Okay.
Linen has no recoil. Linen, hemp, cotton, any bast fibers have no recoil whatsoever. Like wool has recoil. That's why wool is such a wonderful fiber to knit sweaters with. So the bast fibers, which are the plant fibers, have no recoil, and oftentimes they will tend to elongate because they don't have that recoil. And then silk has no recoil either. So when you put linen and silk together, your garment is going to grow. Now, and linen and silk both get softer and softer as you wash them and wear them. They've become more and more silky. Linen becomes more silky every time that it's washed. If you want something that has some recoil, then you like silk, if you have silk and wool or linen and wool, you know, you combine a bast fiber with animal fiber that has a crimp to it. So if you talk about crimp, you know, wool from a sheep has crimp. Mohair, which comes from a goat, has crimp, but the crimp is very, very large. And mohair, because that crimp is a very big wave, it doesn't have any recoil either. Now, and then there's the two different varieties of alpaca. There's the Syri alpaca and the other alpaca, and I can't keep the two of them straight, but one of them has straight hair and the other one has kinky hair. The one that has the straight hair also has no recoil and will elongate. And so a lot of times if you knit a sweater out of alpaca, it will grow by inches in length, not a little bit. along this, because it's slippery too, the sleeves will become like gorilla sleeves, you know. And so you have to take that into account. But if you mix alpaca with wool, then you get the properties of the wool and the properties of the alpaca together. That was just a little thing there. Okay, so Teresa, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was talking to my mom about lotion. I'm working on this scarf. I don't know if you could see, it's got holes in the middle. It's a crescent scarf for my niece for Christmas.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a wool nylon yarn. And I'm doing 2 socks at a time, but I was just finishing up the decreases for the heels.
Very cool.
So
wow, nice.
That is. And I haven't seen you guys in Panera's because I got a job and went back to work. So
we'll have to figure out an evening time to get together.
yeah, that would be nice.
Make one of those in the evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Judy, would you like to share something?
I'm just finishing up some socks.
Oh, those are so cute. Oh my God, what is that yarn?
You know, I don't know. I've had it for a really long time. Oh, here it is. It's called, here it is.
Wisdom yarns. Yes, they have some interesting yarns. What is it? Is it all wool or is it wool and nylon? Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it's not real soft. It's wool and nylon. I'm hoping it'll soften up. It's supposed to be self-patterning, but I didn't sit and figure out, like, actually, I think it makes an argyle or some sort of fair isle pattern if you did it right.
Those are cool. I love them.
But yeah, they just kind of striped. But
well, let's take this as another learning opportunity to hold up that label again. So when the label says wool, and it doesn't say anything other than wool, it doesn't say merino wool, okay? It can be any wool, or it can be a combination of a lot of different wools, like ends of wools all mixed together. It can be recycled wool. It can be anything. So that's why she's saying it's not feeling very soft, because it is not soft wool. So if you want to make sure that it's going to be soft, you want to see the word merino.
yeah, it just says superwash. So
yeah, it's just superwash, but it's just wool. It's just generic wool. Okay, let's see. Fatima, would you like to share something?
Okay.
Here you go.
There you go.
I just took out of my needles the last.
Oh, oh, those are so cute. I love those.
And because I bought 2 balls of the same color, and you see the difference of the pattern. I found very interesting to see the way that they come.
Yes.
In a different way.
Very cool. Don't you love those?
Oh, yes. And I have more balls of this to do. I think I have all colors.
Yep.
This is the opal and the Van Gogh style. And of course, it's not the painting of Van Gogh at all, but the colors are a little bit like that.
Yes, beautiful.
And I finish in a merino wool, these Ganze socks. That is my pattern. This one.
Oh, those are really pretty.
And it's dry yarn by myself. And the pattern is myself as well, but I didn't write yet, so we'll see.
Very nice, lovely, lovely.
And according to what you said, I'm doing experience with the merino wool and silk for a new top for myself. And I use a design from the Japanese Bible. And I'm trying to make a swatch to try to make a top for myself. But this is exactly merino and silk, so exactly to keep that is not yet blocked.
Very pretty.
Beautiful.
Very.
And I'm making with the large needles in order to keep the lace very open.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very
I
beautiful.
hope to leave blocking before I travel tomorrow.
Very cool. Okay.
Really pretty.
Francoise, let's see what you have.
I've just finished my Franco sweater.
Oh my gosh.
That is beautiful.
So beautiful.
And
gorgeous.
And what I watched your video to make the pickup at the neckline.
Yes, right. Oh, that's nice.
Very
Didn't that
nice.
come out nice. Beautiful.
It's finished. I began it in September. So
Yes, yes. It's a work of art. Another work of art to add to your collection of works of art.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Yes, yes.
I am beginning a butterfly, a second butterfly.
Oh, are you?
Very cute.
Thank you.
Judy, do you have anything that you would like to share?
Unmute myself. There we go. I'm unmuted now, right? My granddaughter requested a cotton braided cable scarf. So that's what I've started. That's what, can you see it? Whoops. It's
back a little
focus.
bit.
There it is.
Yes. Oh, that's pretty.
So I haven't worked with cotton before and it feels different. I'm getting used to that. And you had commented, Suzanne, sometime, about working with really dark color, how difficult that is. Well, I work full time and so my mornings are precious to be able to work on this because I can't do this at night.
Yes.
It's really hard. And this is navy blue.
Exactly. Now there's those glasses that you can get that are magnifying glasses that actually have lights on them.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen those? I haven't tried them yet, but they look like something maybe you could use in the evening with dark yarn.
I'm trying to, I have a lamp that I used to use many years ago with my embroidery and I have pulled it out. And so that I'm playing with that and trying, but
And then it changes your perspective.
It does.
If you're looking through magnifying lenses or anything like that, it changes your perspective and you got to figure out where your hands and needles are in relationship to your face and your distance. And yes, I understand completely. Great. Nancy, do you have anything you would like to share?
I am working on
socks. Very cool.
Back a
I put
little.
them next to my face. Yeah, well, I have the blur thing on.
Oh, okay.
Put them right smack in front of your face, right up close to your face in front.
She's being kidnapped.
Yeah, or kidnapping. I mean, it could be a mask, I suppose. But these are Sharknado socks.
Oh.
The movie. So they have in the cuff, they start out with a wide cable and come down to a narrow cable like a tornado. And then just underneath you have shark fins. Spinning. And they're just fun.
Who's the
Sharknado
designer?
is such a very silly concept.
Who's the designer?
Well,
Steven Spielberg.
Well, for the movie, yes. For the socks, I don't remember. But it's on Ravelry.
Okay.
It's on Ravelry, and it was a part of in in the fall, there is a knit along of Halloween socks.
Okay.
And this was one of the years for the Halloween socks. And they're just fun. It's just, I just love it. It just makes me laugh.
That's good. That's what knitting's for.
Yeah.
For
So
Rita.
you have tornadoes coming down and picking up the sharks that are swimming in the ocean.
For Rita, do you have anything you'd like to share?
I don't right now. I'm working on my resubmits for level 1.
Oh, that is so awesome.
Yeah, it's taken a while. I'm trying to really learn what I didn't get.
Yes, yes. If there's anything any of us can do to help you, just ask, you know.
Thank you. I've been in touch with Claire asking questions.
Very
She's my
cool.
co-chair. Yeah.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Judy, did I already ask you? Oh yeah, you're knitting socks. Okay, let me see who else is here. Vicky.
Well, I am working on a scarf.
Ooh, mosaic knitting.
Ooh.
Very pretty.
It's actually just, yeah, 2 patterns, different patterns. And then the scarf is knitted in 2 pieces and then it's Kitchenered together. But I'm about ready to take it out.
Why?
Because the bottom is, you can't really see it here. The first one, the darker one, is so much looser than the top one.
Oh, your tension changed as you got into it.
And the back one, the back of it looks really bad on the loose one. So I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's not too late to start over.
Huh?
It's not too late to start over.
No, and it's actually would be the second time I've taken it out, except for the first panel.
Well, I start things an average of 3 times, just to let you know. An average of 3 times before I get into the groove of it. So that's just how it is. Charlene, would you like to share anything?
Well, I finally finished my cocoa knit sweater.
Very pretty.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's got a pocket on both sides. So I enjoyed doing that, and I was using up yarn. So Clara, this is Clara Parks. Her, you know, that everlasting bunch of yarn she had shipped over before she had it done in Harrisville. And then I ended up buying Brooklyn Tweed Shelter because I wanted the color a little denser. It's knitting the same gauge, but it's a little denser, but it doesn't hurt the sweater at all. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it'll be nice. And then I'm doing a cowl only because I thought it was a good thing. It's Ann Budd. Sorry, the print is really bad. Her fading memories. Her mother died with complications from Alzheimer's, and so she was donating $5 from the pattern. So I'm pretty far along.
That's pretty.
With that. So
very
that's
nice.
what and then I did do the Flora Collingwood Norris on Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. It's horrible, but it was just a first opportunity with the class. So I need to practice way more, but it was very interesting. And she sent in the little packet, she sends the material, she sends the yarn, she sends the needle when you take the class.
And she sends some graph paper too. I got knitter's graph paper with my kit.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, maybe she's changed. Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
it might be a different class too.
Right,
She has
right, that's
a
true.
couple.
Right.
Yeah, so anyway, I've been enjoying myself.
Good. Luann, do you have anything you'd like to share? No?
No, you know, I'm just doing my socks.
Alice?
I still am working on my
Oh,
shawl.
so beautiful.
I'm finally at the point where I'm gonna start the ending of it. So, but my stitch
Wow.
count is right, so I'm pleased.
Wow, that is beautiful.
It's pretty bright.
Beautiful. Let me show you what I did with mine. Let me find my picture. And I'll show you what I did with mine.
What pattern is that?
It's Stephen West Shawlography. It was a mystery knit along, begun in like October or November of last year.
There's mine.
Oh, nice.
I put it on my couch.
Oh.
Came out good. I like it. It was my colors. Okay, Renee, you're up next.
I don't have anything this time.
Oh, well, then just wave. Mary.
Well, I was going to show a shawl that I've been working on. It's going to be like in a clump because in getting it over to the table, I actually dropped stitches off the end of the needle.
Oh.
Yeah, so I have a little work to do. So I'm not going to hold it up any better because I've got a little bit of an issue to fix right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Happens.
Yes, stuff happens. So I have mine to share. Let me see. Let me find me. So I finished, except for weaving in the ends, I finished, I might have shared it last time, but I finished my Dunes of Latvia. And guess what? It fits my grandson, Matthew, perfectly. So he is inheriting this. I just have to weave in the ends on the cuffs and the hem down here. And it's all done.
That looks great, Suzanne.
I like it. It's super cute on him. I didn't take a picture of it on him yet, but
really beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we are. That's us. Thank you.
Suzanne, I have something.
Who's speaking?
Deb Henson.
Oh, where are you? There you are. Oh,
I'm
you
hiding.
had your camera off. So
Yeah, I did because I'm not feeling good today, but
oh, I wish you could.
thank you. Well, at least my knee is getting better. Okay, so I'm doing the Holly Jolly socks out of Cindy's dyed yarn. It is gorgeous color work for her.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Isn't that nice? Cindy dyed the yarn and it's beautiful.
Holly Jolly?
Holly Jolly. Super easy. Super easy.
Really cute.
Yeah.
About that.
Cute.
So
I like
that's it. I'll go back to hiding now.
Okay. Anybody else want to share anything?
I have a tell. I don't have a show, but I have a tell. It's Claire.
Claire. Okay.
I'm working on a summer anchor summer shirt. Is kind of a yoke sweater.
You're not going to show it?
I don't. I only have 2 lines on. I've been I've been busy, but remember when Joan Schroeder came on to our guild meeting and she told us about making short rows in the ribbing of the sweaters in order to compensate for some extra curvature of the back?
Yes.
Well, I wanted to try that in this sweater, but I wasn't sure in 1x1 ribbing which stitches I should do the wrap and turn on. So I looked her up on Ravelry, and she had specific instructions saying, please look at the threads first to see if your answer is there before, asking me directly. So I did, and I found the topic where they were kind of talking about that, but that particular question wasn't answered. So I asked her on Ravelry, this is new for me. I don't normally join threads because I can't ever figure out, well, where am I, you know, do I reply to this or do I start a new one? What do I do? So anyway, I managed it successfully. She wrote right back and answered it. And it was, you know, it's just, I wanted to point out the interconnectivity between you and the people that you bring on for our guild meetings and the accessibility. She was absolutely delighted that, because of course I, you know, buttered her up and I said, oh, we so enjoyed your show, which we did. And she said how much she liked being able to come and teach and talk without having to leave her house.
Yes.
So
yes.
for all of us who are thinking,
we're going to have
for
her
all of us
in July.
Oh, good. So anyway, that was really cool. You know, it just feels like we can, you know, we can ask for questions of knitting celebrities.
Experts.
Yeah.
So you may hear a howling dog in the background at my house. I'm sorry. That's Beck. He's missing his family already and I'm in here and not petting him. So he's howling. I'm sorry.
Oh.
But when I get off here, then I'll pet him. Anybody else have any? Oh, Claire, did you want to talk about the library at all while you're on here?
Well, I picked up a couple of extra books, just used stuff on short rows and on knitting increases and decreases, because sometimes I like to get a book just on a specific topic, so I don't have to look through all the bigger reference books. So I'll be adding them to the list online. You could all take a look.
Somebody in this group asked if there was a certain book in the library. Do you want to ask Claire while she's here?
Yeah.
It was me. I was wondering, Charles Gandy's Regia Schockenmeyer book. Crazy Socks. Do we have that in the library? Do you know?
I don't think so, but I personally, it's one shelf over. My personal knitting books, I have the one with his socks with all the baubles on it. That's the picture on the front.
No, this one is out of print.
Ooh, no.
It's not the newer one. It was done by Schockenmeyer and a long time ago. And Charles had showed it to us when he was doing the monsters at the retreat.
I see. No, we do not have that one.
Would you like to donate a copy, Nancy?
Donate a copy of what?
The Regia book.
I don't have it.
Oh, okay.
That's why
you'll probably have to look on eBay, or let me contact Charles.
Well, I know that Charles, because he brought a copy with him.
Yeah, let me ask him if he has any extra copies. I'll ask him right now, okay?
Okie dokes. Thank you very much.
If anybody wants to be in the drawing for the $40 at Knit Picks, you need to put your first and your last name in the chat.
Judy,
Okay. Yeah.
did I win the last time?
Yes, and I've been carrying your gift card every time I see you, and I'm forgetting to give it to you. In my wallet, you just have to say, give me my gift card.
I just remembered.
No, I have it.
Okay, good.
In my wallet.
I'm glad I'm not going crazy because
You're not going crazy. I have it.
Okay, everybody got their name in?
Okay, give me a minute to put them in there and then
Okay. So remember, next Saturday is Social Knitting Saturday, same Zoom address. And then we'll have to wait and see about how COVID is going, whether we're going to do Worldwide Knit and Public Day at the Fountain, or whether we're going to Zoom again. And so I'll keep you updated on that via email. So check your email from me. And also today, at some point, you should be receiving a ballot from Cindy McBride go ahead and just vote right away. Don't put it off. Just go ahead and vote right away. And so we can get those votes in, and we will tally the votes at the June meeting. And then the new board will take over in July. We'll have a board meeting right after, shortly after the June meeting, and the old board will transfer over to the new board, and we'll carry on. Poor Beck. Oh, suffering terribly. Let me go let him outside. Hold on. Beck, you want to go outside? Come on. Let's go outside.
What day exactly is Knit in Public? I don't have my calendar handy.
The 11th, I believe.
I don't know what it is either. What is the exact day? We usually get together on our
Saturday.
on the
the second.
Saturday, which is
Second
our
Saturday.
guild meeting day.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the 11th.
Yeah, it's June 11th.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Are you ready, Judy?
Yeah, I'm going to read off the names so that if your name is not on the wheel, let me know. I have Alice, Carol, Barbara Norman, Christina, Claire, Deb Henston, Deb Newland, Farida, Fatima, Francois, Hilda, Jackie Rickles, Judy Joyce, Judy Snyder, Luann, Marion, Mary Morgan Harris, Nancy Bloomquist, Renee, Teresa, and Vicky. Did I miss anybody? Gone. Okay. Do I have everybody? Okay, I'm going to spin the wheel. Teresa.
Oh, we didn't get to see the wheel spin this time, but that's okay.
Well, share my screen and then you can see it. Oh, I forgot to share it. Hang on. You can see the winner. Hold on. There.
Yay, Teresa.
Thank you.
You're
You
welcome.
guys got to remind me of this stuff. I'm not that savvy with it. Okay, so Teresa.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll get it to you.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't take me a month like Jackie's gift card.
Okay.
All right.
You can stop sharing your screen.
Oh, okay. Let me figure out, where am I?
It's usually down at the bottom in green.
Hey, Suzanne.
Stop share. Okay, here we go. Okay.
This is Luann, and I'm just going to tell because I know we have a lot of people that like Madeline Tosh sport yarn, and Jimmy Beans just sent me a text that it's on Madeline Tosh Sport is 40% off today.
Wow.
Woo.
Very cool.
For the
Good
next
tip.
7
Thank you.
days, they're having they're sending out texts for their 20th birthday. But I just saw that, and I know you all, I hear everybody talk about Madeline Tosh, and it's the sport for 40% off or more. So give it a shot.
Wow. Wow. Okay, does anybody else have anything they want to talk about or share?
Let's see. Oh, let's see. Suzanne,
Yes.
did you give a report on your moving status, progress, all of that? Did I miss that?
Oh, so my moving. Okay, so I'm going to be moving towards the end of June. My house goes on the market next Thursday. And so does my daughter's. I already own a house in Tennessee, and my daughter is in escrow on a house, and hers closes May 27th in Tennessee. And we also have some property. So we're going to live in the houses temporarily while we build 2 houses on our property. We have 5 acres. It has a stream on it. It's got lots of trees. You can't hear any traffic noises. You can't hear any city noises, but it's only about 20 minutes outside Chattanooga. It's at a higher elevation than Chattanooga, so it's up higher. It's about 10 degrees cooler in the summer than Chattanooga is. and it's really pretty and it's peaceful. And we're building 2 houses on the same piece of property. It's like a family compound. I'm gonna live with my son and my daughter-in-law who are staying with me now, who they left this morning to go back to take their son to Chattanooga. And it's exciting. It's a new phase, the next phase. I'm gonna continue teaching all my classes. I'll continue participating in all the guild stuff. I just won't physically be here. I'm still going to teach all my boot camp classes and participate in all the things that I currently participate in. And I'll meet some new knitters in Chattanooga.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful adventure. I'm still sorry you're leaving, but I'm still wishing you the very best.
Thank you, Marion. And, you know, all of you have been a big part of my life. You know,
I have a question. Are you going to come back for the retreat?
I'm planning on it, yes. Yes.
Cool.
And I'll come visit, and Pam, who's not on here today, has guaranteed that she has a room in her new house that she's building that I can stay in when I come to visit. So I have a place to stay.
What was the date on the retreat? Do we have that?
Let me look. It's in October, and it's going to be October the 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Did we get an email, Suzanne?
Not yet, because we haven't finished the planning for it.
Okay, thank you.
And because it's later, you know, we don't have to have our plans out in February. Do you know what I mean? And it depends on COVID. It's so hard. It's so hard. I'm so glad we got to go to Stitches West. You know, the virus was down at that time. It just worked out. Anything else? Hilda, there you are. I haven't seen you.
Sorry, I was out of town. I just I'm unpacking, and you know, I stayed for Mother's Day. I was at my daughter's house. The Mexican Mother's Day. I'm so blessed that I can celebrate it twice.
Right.
Every 10th and American's Mother's Day. So yeah, I was in El Paso with my daughter. It's very hot over there. Very, very hot. I had dinner with her and went out and came back. We did some stuff over there with her.
Well, I hope that you all participate in all the upcoming guild activities so we can all stay connected. And I'm going to bring this meeting to a close.
I had one question first.
Okay.
I was wondering if there were any people here that did the Knitting Guild of America's
the conference.
Yes, I did that and it was wonderful. And I saw your thing on Pockets actually.
Yes.
And I was wondering if anybody else here had attended.
I did.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I did too.
I did.
Yeah.
It's an excellent opportunity. And you know, what was it, $100, $150, and like a ton of classes, and you can watch all of them for that fee. You can watch all of them. You can only pick which ones you want to watch live, but they're all recorded. They're available to you for 6 months. And I think the ones from last year are still available. I mean, they didn't take them down. So it's well worth your money. And you're learning from masters, you know. Very, very cool. I'm going to participate again next year.
I plan to attend again next year.
Yes, I just love it. It's so fun. It's so fun. And there were a lot of people, because I can't tell when I'm teaching how many people are watching on that. I just see me and my moderators. And there were a lot of people that watched my classes. That was very cool. Very cool. I got a lot of positive feedback. So, okay, anything anybody else wants to say?
I have a question. Your embroidered sweater that you showed, which of your tutorials was that?
That's the drop shoulder.
Drop shoulder, okay.
Yep.
I didn't do that one.
Yeah. It's so, drop shoulder is so basic, but you can do so much with it because it's basic, but it's also seamed. So in that one, you're learning the seaming and you learn how to place patterns within a specific area, and how to balance them and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. See you guys next time. Have a lovely
Alrighty.
time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Bye-bye.
You.